you for joining us today for First Five in Focus. My name's Angela Spinelli,
And I'm Andrea Uribe.
and we are the First Five San Luis Obispo County interns.
Today's interview will be a bit different as we will be speaking to several representatives from the Link Family Resource Center and the Paso School District to talk about the Resilient Families First Five Partner Program.
Mary Lou, we're going to go ahead and get started with you. And we
Okay.
know that you hop on the First Five Facebook and do the Talk Read Things every week. So we were just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about why early literacy is so important.
Early literacy is important because those are the foundations for a successful school academic life and a success in life. I work mostly with Latino parents, and I do parenting, some parenting groups, but mostly reading literacy with children. And I model to parents. Have a lot of families that come from indigenous Mexico whose primary language is not necessarily Spanish. It's Mixteco, so the children are learning three languages when they come to school, or they have started learning three languages: Mixteco or indigenous language, Spanish, and then English. Also, they also need a little bit of guidance, I would say. So I do a lot of modeling in my literacy hours. With the COVID, this was a live group. This was a one-on-one or a live group that I had every Wednesday. But with COVID, then we had to do, reinvent ourselves. So working with First Five, I said, well, why don't we do one through Zoom or through First Five virtual, and so the families can still get that modeling that I do. Like, so I teach them or model of how to open a book. How we can open the book so with the child, so the child has that comfort of the parent or the adult, and they are also, your brains are like evolving so fast that they're looking at colors. You can't read, that's okay, mom. Show what the book has, the colors, count the animals, count the pages, just tell them stories about your life so that they can start growing and really enjoy that, so that when they transition to school, our teachers are ready for them and they are ready for us.
Can you also tell us about the work that you're going to be doing with the Paso School District?
Okay, well, we're looking into expanding what I already do. So it's through, we're going to have there's a reading initiative coming up, and I'm just going to be supporting this district. I've been doing this for through First Five for almost 15 years. And so it's just an expansion of what I do. Just maybe slightly, I've been working just with one elementary school. From what I understand, all the schools are going to have it. We used to only have it at Georgia Brown because it was through a First Five grant, and now it's going to the elementary schools, and I'm really excited about that.
So that we're now going to move on to you. We know that you are also working with the Paso School District, and we were just wondering, how has the school district helped develop social connections between its children and families during this pandemic?
Well, I think actually the pandemic turned some things upside down in that, I think people like Mary Lou and the work she was doing, we would connect with Mary Lou to make sure information came from the district and from the school to the parents. And what this pandemic did is make people like Mary Lou absolutely essential. Like, what are the families saying? What do the families need? And so Mary Lou and other family liaisons we have at school districts really were the connection to school. They started calling. I mean, I was really fortunate to be able to read Mary Lou's reports about the work she did in terms of advocacy. So a family would come and they would have a need, and she'd find a private donor. What we had to do is really listen to the teachers who had already made connections with families, who could tell us, hey, I haven't had this child in 2 years, but they came to me and here's what they're struggling with. We sent our tech teams into homes to check for connections, to find out what Wi-Fi would connect with them. It was a major effort just to keep kids and families connected. But the true connection is the personal connection. And I think as we're moving forward, one of the reasons we're partnering with the Link is we're trying to grapple with what is that need? What do families really need to be successful as a family? And how can we as a district better support that effort? I want you to know connecting with kids was the number one issue in this pandemic. And we did home visits, you know, we've done phone calls, but the cry is really for in person.
This next question is for Lisa. Can you give us some background on the Resilient Families Partnership Program and what the focus of it is?
So when the opportunity came to apply for additional First Five funding, I had the opportunity to sit down and write a proposal, and with the understanding that we wanted to elevate the role of the Link Family Advocate working in Atascadero and in Paso Robles and serving San Miguel and Shandon communities and the Templeton communities. So Bessie and Elena, who sit here with me today, are longstanding family advocates for many, many years who have worked in our communities in partnership with the school districts to make sure that when there's a concern for a child or a student, that we know that they go back home to families, and to really focus on the well-being of the family and building upon the strengths of the family is the focus. And that is why I'm grateful you brought up the social connection, because that is a primary framework of what we call protective factors, and social connections is really the number one in my, of the five, I would say would be the most important. So when the time came to put this proposal together, I got a great call from Babette Decoux here talking about how to be aligned with the proposal. And well, we just went to work, submitted the proposal, it was funded, and here we are today, sitting as a partnership for resilient families is the name of the project. But again, it's really been work that has happened for many decades. Mari Lou has done her part at Georgia Brown. As we learned, she's going to be expanding. And Bessie Hoffman is here representing what the work she has been, services provided in Atascadero. And Elena has been really covering the communities that I just said, that include Paso Robles, San Miguel, and Shandon. And of course, when you work with families, it's just not a focus on 0 to 5, it's the whole family. And the growth for all of our advocates, not just the 3 in front of us, but for the entire organization has exploded. We are doing our best to serve as what we are considered as an essential service to this community. And that's been the gift of this pandemic. It elevated and put a spotlight on the importance and the critical services that a family resource center provides during these times. So I'm just grateful that we now have a very concrete partner with Paso Robles Joint Unified School District. And we're looking forward to show and model how we get her done in this community to ensure that families are part of this process and ensuring children and youth are successful in school. They're healthy, but they're also connected to their schools and their community, and the family is a critical part of it. And so that's what has been the inspiration to build this new project.
Now we're going to move to Bessie and Elena. We know you're both family advocates, but could you tell us a little bit about how, even though you have the same title, how your work differs from each other?
Well, one thing I could tell you is that just like in any job, family advocates, we know what we are supposed to do, but we do it different ways. And that's because we work in different areas. So the culture will vary, from one place to another. But one of the things that we do is we do direct services, which not every agency does. And one of that, I think is very unique to family resource centers, is transportation. Because even though we do it on a need, depending what the need is, we could transport a family, a mom and the child, or just the mom, to whatever need they have, whether it is a doctor's appointment or They have to pick up a prescription and they don't know how to get there. They can get there, you know, whatever it is. So we are there to assist them with that and provide them information of other resources and how to go about it, how to look for them, how to, because our job is not just to provide them with the diapers or the formula or, you know, but it's also to teach them what other resources are out there and how to navigate to that.
And how about you, Elena?
The main responsibilities of a family advocate, and it starts with a referral that comes in, and we need to, in time entry, follow up with the families to create and provide and coordinate services, recognizing and identifying their family needs, encourage families to take part, have respect for families with their values and cultures, keep documentations. Family advocates support families and acts as a liaison between the families, agencies, schools and community and other family related services. Families are to encourage to be family advocates for their own families and become self-sufficient. So that's what I do as a family advocate.
It just sounds like being a family advocate is just like a superhero role. You guys do a lot.
Yes, I love my families. I love my job and I love working for the link.
Now over to you, Carrie. We know that you kind of coordinate all these family advocate services, and we were just wondering, through this COVID-19 pandemic, how have these services changed, or how have you guys adjusted to still serve families?
Well, as you heard from our family advocates, if anything, they're running more than walking, and the pandemic has actually caused that. The needs of families have greatly changed due to the pandemic. Basic needs of families have increased so much. You know, we have statistics on that, how many more families we've served during the pandemic than we served before, as far as making sure that they have food and, you know, the rent's being paid and, you know, utilities aren't being shut off and diapers and, you know, just these basic things that families need has increased because of the pandemic, because people have lost jobs and, you know, they're home with their children all day long. They can't get out to access these services as much as they used to be able to. So the advocates have increased they've been delivering things more than they normally would. You know, normally they would just give a referral or, you know, come here at this day and time, but now they're actually doing some actual deliveries to families because they're homebound. And a huge part of working with families is to build upon the strengths that they already have. And the fact that they even came to the Family Resource Center to receive help is a strength in itself, that they knew that that resource center existed, that they knew that there would be somebody there that would be able to provide them with some services and some help is a huge strength. And then how do you get them then to move beyond that so that the next time something happens, they already know what resource they should go to tap into?
To finish off, we just wanted to ask if there's anything that we didn't cover that anyone wanted to take, you know, this space to talk about.
I would like to just say what is the most rewarding part of my job. And on that, I would like to say is to be able to help families with need to develop structure and offer them stability, to be able to build a positive future. That is, you know, one of the things that makes you feel when you see with that family that comes in so much stress the first time you meet, you know, and to know that you're going to be guiding them and teaching them so they could become independent, like Carrie was saying. It's just so rewarding when you see them years later, you know, and you could see that they moved on, that they're able to go on life, you know, sure of themselves and knowing how to navigate resources and all of that is just great.